welcome to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet the daughter.
And that must make me Kevin the dad.
Well, yes, it must. I hope so anyway. Otherwise, who are you and what are you doing here? And this week, we are doing another two-parter, everybody, because with this discography, we couldn't whittle it down. So we are doing the one and only and the much missed Tom Petty. So, Dad, what do we need to know?
Well, we need to know that we have finally taken care of the final Wilbury.
Oh,
We've done
yeah.
Roy,
Yep.
Bob, Jeff, and George, and now Tom.
The circle is complete.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we need to know that Thomas Earl Petty was born October 20th, 1950 in Gainesville, Florida. So, yes, that meant when he grew up, he was a Florida man. But before that, in 1961, when Tom was 10 years old, he met Elvis Presley in Ocala, Florida.
Cool.
Because Tom's uncle was working on the set of Elvis's movie Follow That Dream, and the said uncle invited Tom to watch the filming.
What do you know? His films did have a point for music history.
To quote Wikipedia of that meeting, Tom said, "Elvis glowed."
Aww.
Then in 1964, like everyone else, or just about everyone else, Tom saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the Rolling Stones just reinforced that belief. He started a band called the Epics, which later evolved into Mudcrutch, which featured future Heartbreakers guitarist Mike Campbell and keyboardist Benmont Tench. They were popular in Gainesville, but beyond that, not much.
Oh.
In 1974, they relocated to Los Angeles to try to get major label attention. Musician Leon Russell signed them to Shelter Records.
Oh, nice.
Their 1975 single Depot Street failed to chart, and after failing to record another single, Mudcrutch broke up. Tom, however, was still attached to Shelter Records as a solo artist and songwriter. In 1976, he reunited with Mike Campbell and Benmont Tench to form Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Where'd they get the title?
That I don't know.
Oh.
But not to be confused with Johnny Thunder's Heartbreakers, which he was in New York Dolls. Anyway, so this now included Gainesvillers, or is it Gainesvillites, Stan Lynch on drums and Ron Blair on bass. Their self-titled debut album came out on November 9th, 1976. It didn't do great in the United States, but it went over big in the UK. Breakdown and American Girl were the singles.
Mm-hmm.
But again, nothing happened in the US with those songs, but they did well in England. Eventually, Breakdown was re-released in the US when word got back about Tom's massive success in Britain.
Oh, that's nice.
It went to number 40 on Billboard's Hot 100 chart and was included on the FM soundtrack, which sold 1 million copies. The movie, however, tanked.
That happens sometimes when you have like a good song but a bad movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great soundtrack. I mean,
yeah.
But the movie just... Anyway, their second album, You're Gonna Get It, came out in 1978 and went gold. However, that band was dragged into a legal dispute as ABC Records, Shelter Records distributor, was sold to MCA Records. Tom did not want to be transferred to another label, so he filed for bankruptcy as a tactic against MCA. It didn't work. There was a legal settlement of some sort, and Tom wound up issuing subsequent albums on MCA's Backstreet label.
Mm-hmm.
In 1979, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers released Damn the Torpedoes, which went to number 2 on the Billboard 200 albums chart, staying there for 7 weeks and went triple platinum, which is 3 million copies sold. What kept Tom from hitting number 1?
What?
Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Okay, well, you're not going to beat that. Sorry,
well,
Tom.
As Tom said, I love Pink Floyd, but I hated them that year.
Well, at least it was Pink Floyd and not somebody who was bad. That would have just been some salt in the wound.
4 singles were released with Don't Do Me Like That, which became the band's first top 10 single. Then Travelers, kind of, sort of.
What do you mean, kind of, sort of?
Well, you have to listen.
Okay.
For the band's next album, Hard Promises, MCA wanted to charge $9.98 for the album. $8.98 was the standard price at the time.
Oh, inflation.
But well, no. MCA came up with this idea called superstar pricing. Hey, you want to listen to our major acts? It's going to cost you an extra $1.
Oh, I assume that practice lasted then.
But Tom objected, and I actually remember that was an issue back then. And he was on the cover of Rolling Stone, I believe, dressed in a suit and tie, tearing a dollar bill.
Good for him.
Anyway, he thought of either not delivering the album or changing its name to $8.98. And eventually MCA backed off. For their 5th album, 1982's Long After Dark, bass player Ron Blair was replaced by Howie Epstein. Tom hired Howie after hearing him play on a Del Shannon album that Tom was producing.
That explains the Wilburys done with Volume 3.
And we'll get more into that.
Right.
Blair would be back in 2002 when Epstein was fired due to substance addiction. Southern Accents came out in 1985, and Tom and band stretched out on this one. David A. Stewart from Eurythmics co-wrote 3 songs with Tom and produced Don't Come Around Here No More.
Cool.
Dave also plays the caterpillar in the video for the song.
Which we'll get to when we get there.
Yeah. Anyway, Southern Accents was originally planned to be a concept album, but the concept got lost somewhere along the way with the Stewart songs, and other songs originally planned for the album were left off. This was also the album in which Tom broke his left hand punching a wall in frustration over the mixing of the opening track Rebels.
Ow!
Which I remember hearing about that too, thinking, not the best move there, Tom.
No, he doesn't seem like a guy who's quick to anger anyway, so he must have been pissed.
The live album, Pack Up the Plantation, also came out in 85. Then Tom and the Heartbreakers were Bob Dylan's backup band on Bob's True Confessions tour.
Oh, okay.
Bob sure shows up a lot in these podcast episodes.
It's
anyway,
the Wilbury connection. It's all coming together.
Guess, 6 degrees of Bob separation, I
Pretty
guess.
much. We could play that game later.
Next came 1987's Blink or You Missed It, Let Me Up, I've Had Enough, which contained the great single Jammin' Me. Then A Detour, The Traveling Wilburys. It consisted of obviously Tom, Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Jeff Lynne, and Roy Orbison, and we did a podcast episode about them, so please listen to it for the full story.
It's fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tom's next album was kind of sort of a solo album, Full Moon Fever, and the only reason I say that is because the Heartbreakers did play on it. You know who else played on it?
Who?
Jeff.
George and Ringo and Jeff?
Nope. Jeff, George, and Roy.
And Roy.
But not Bob.
Maybe Bob was
and
busy.
not Ringo. We'll get into the Ringo thing, even though he's in that video. There's some explanations.
Okay.
Anyway, Jeff also produced Full Moon Fever, and he'd also produced Into the Great Wide Open, which came out in 1991. Greatest Hits came out in 1993, and drummer Stan Lynch left the band in 1994. But he would be back in 2002 when Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Is Steve Ferrone coming at some point?
Yeah, legendary session drummer Steve Ferrone would play with Tom and the Heartbreakers from 1994 till 2017.
Also friends with Jerry Harrison of Talking Heads, who offered Jerry Harrison a ticket to go see Tom Petty play, but there was traffic and he didn't go, and it ended up being Tom Petty's last concert.
Oh.
He regretted it for the rest of his life.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow.
Just wanted to slide that in there while I could.
Okay. Anyway, after that, Tom moved to Warner Brothers, and his second solo album, Wildflowers, was his first release for the WB in 1994. But again, the Heartbreakers play on almost every single track.
Because who else is he going to get?
Go figure.
Yeah.
Anyway, also in 1994, Tom won MTV's Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award, which recognizes, and I quote, outstanding contributions to popular culture and music videos.
We're going to get into that more in part 2, but we've got a snippet of it in part 1.
No one was more surprised than Tom himself. He said he just liked making creative videos.
They're good.
He never dreamed he'd win an award for doing that. So you've got Michael Jackson, obviously, Janet Jackson, Rihanna, Madonna, Tom Petty. Go figure.
Good for Tom.
Anyway, in 1995, MCA released a behemoth of a box set, the 6-disc playback, because they figured, well, he's with the other label. Let's see what we can get. Tom put out more albums. In 2007, he reunited with the original members of Mudcrutch, and they put out an album.
Oh, that's cool.
And Tom and the Heartbreakers also performed the halftime show at Super Bowl 42.
And it rules, and it's on YouTube.
And that was also the one where the Giants beat the Patriots.
Oh, sorry, Dad, but hey, at least there was a good halftime show.
Okay, yeah, okay. I feel better now. While all the music was going on, Tom was also acting.
Yeah.
He played the difficult role of himself as one of Gary Shandling's neighbors on It's Gary Shandling Show, as well as appearing on Gary's The Larry Sanders Show, which was hilarious. And he was also in the classic Simpsons episode, How I Spent My Summer Vacation.
So you guys just want mindless generic rock? Yeah! I watched it yesterday. Some of it's pretty good, but you can definitely tell they're not in their stride anymore.
Yeah. And he had a recurring role as Elroy Lucky Kleinschmidt on King of the Hill, and I did watch the
lawyer clip.
lawsuit. Oh my God, that poor guy.
Yep.
And in 2014, Tom and the Heartbreakers' 13th and final album, Hypnotic Eye, debuted at #1 on the Billboard album chart,
It just shows people always loved him.
and it was also the band's first #1 album.
Nice,
How you like
yay!
that, Pink Floyd, huh? Huh?
They got theirs.
In 2017, the band hit the road for a 40th anniversary tour that started in April and ended in September. 1 week after the tour, on October 1st, 2017, Tom Petty was in cardiac arrest. He was taken to UCLA Medical Center and put on life support. He died on October 7th at 8:40 p.m. of what the LA County Medical Examiner stated was an accidental overdose, specifically, quote,
Yeah.
multi-system organ failure due to resuscitated cardiopulmonary arrest due to mixed drug toxicity.
It wasn't Tom's fault. He'd been off drugs for a while. It was just basically what they were using to keep him alive. It just had a bad mix in his body.
Yeah. Now, the thing was, he died in the evening, but there had been premature reports of his death earlier in the day.
And I met one of the reporters who made the premature report at Rick. They came to talk about the importance of journalistic integrity, and he had to say, listen, this is what I was told. I had to report it. I'm sorry. And meanwhile, me and a bunch of other people in the audience were giving him the death glare, like, how dare you? How dare you put his family through that, you piece of... Anyway.
So he didn't think of, like, checking or double checking to make sure.
Nope.
Wow.
Thanks a lot, Guy.
Okay, well, believe it or not, Tom kind of sort of lives on to this day, as he will be appearing on Snoop Dogg's Missionary album set to come out in December, because Snoop does a cover of Last Dance with Mary Jane,
Aww.
and I'm assuming Tom's voice will be sampled.
Oh yeah, I assume so, and I assume his family gave permission for that, unlike a certain orange Cheeto man who used his song at his rallies and the family had to issue a cease and desist.
Was it for Don't Do Me Like That? Huh?
No, it was I Won't Back Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As for me, I've been hearing Tom's stuff since Damn the Torpedoes came out. And, you know, I liked all the songs I heard on the radio, but I never bought one of his albums because I figure the best of would be inevitable somewhere down the line. Because I always thought, yeah, great singles, but I don't know about the whole album. So I did get 1993's greatest hits, even though there was like a ton of stuff missing. But then the 34-song 2-disc anthology came out in 2000, and all was well in my world.
Yeah, that's why we couldn't split it up, because there's just so much we can't leave off.
Now here's the thing. It only made it to 132 on Billboard's 200 albums chart.
Really?
But then when Tom died, it came back and went all the way to number 32 in 2017.
Oh, that's always sad.
Now, the thing I like about this set is the songs are in chronological order, which always helps. And there's a nice essay by Cameron Crowe. And when faced with this podcast of trying to do, like, you know, how many songs can we fit in one episode, I had a hard time trying to narrow this down to 17 songs.
And I was more than fine with doing a two-parter for Tom. He deserves it.
Yeah, and I felt that I owed it to Juliet for her making it through the birds.
Thank you.
But we're not done with the birds yet, as you'll find out.
Yep. So you ready?
We are ready.
Okay, let's do it. First track, Breakdown. Now, I first heard this track in our Grace Jones episode, which you can listen to, where Tom wrote the third verse just for her that wasn't in the original. Now, I only listened to the live version of this, which Dad sent me. The opening arrangement of this track with the guitar solo feels like an old-school blues song with the repetition and the key they chose to set it in. And they keep it running for a while to establish mood. I also love how he makes the live version a back and forth with the audience, because the audience's mood is infectious. They're just so happy to see Tom and hear him play and sing along with him, like, oh my god, it's him! If that many people knew the words to my song, I'd feel pretty damn good about my place in music history. And as Tom jokingly says, you're gonna put me out of a job. And I scrolled down the comments, and apparently he had that sense of humor, where someone said they went to like this small nightclub in Los Angeles to see another band play, and Tom Petty was sitting there, and the woman's boyfriend looked at him and went, oh my god, I didn't expect to see you here. And Tom looks at him and goes, I didn't expect to see you here either. So he's funny. Anyway, when Tom sings this song, he sounds predatory, like he's got me cornered in a room and there's no way going out of it. And Grace's version sounds scary too, but in a way I find rather titillating instead of being on edge. Although Tom's ad-libbing of you can do it any way you want to, babe, is a nice addition, with some more ad-libbing and some moans. The downward spiral ad-lib is the best, though, as he tries to rationalize her leaving and how he'll be okay eventually. And while Tom is great, Grace's is the ones I heard first, so I'm going to prefer that one. Still, the live rendition is a good version with saxophone and musical improvisation that doesn't feel like 7 minutes at all. And the best part is he's got his space jacket back on, so I'm happy.
Uh-huh. Okay, this is from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And I don't know if you've seen the album cover, but it's the cover where it's just Tom and he has this look of, I can't believe they put my face on an album cover.
Well, he's the name, so what else do you expect, Tom?
So basically, it's all right if you love him. It's all right if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming the breakdown is of her defenses.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a great arrangement to this, and it's pretty bare bones. And obviously, I love the drumming. And it's one of those where it's like, as soon as the drum pattern starts, I know instantly what the song is.
Yep.
And as you said, there's also the You're Gonna Put Me Out of a Job live version in which the audience sings the first verse and the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And as you also mentioned, for those of you out there who remember our Grace Jones episode, she did do a reggae-ish type of version in 1980
And it works.
on her great Warm Leatherette album. And yes, Tom wrote the third verse just for her, so she has that power.
Yep.
You will write me a third verse or I will kill you. Yes, Grace.
Yes, Miss Jones. No, you wouldn't dare call her Grace. All right, next track, American Girl. I thought it would have been hilarious if there was an American Girl doll based on this song. That would sell so much just for the laughs. Anyway, I love this opening with the guitar strumming and distant vocals, and the vocals sounded like something off a Queen album. You can hear it, right?
I can hear that, yeah.
An American Girl wants something more out of life, and then it gets kind of dark. I hear the lyric about her standing on the balcony, and the image that pops into my mind is someone who's suicidal, especially with her being haunted by the memory of a past lover. So if this is the case and my interpretation is correct, pretty dark song to rock out to. And if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong, but darn it, it's catchy either way.
This is also from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. There's a couple of things going on here. The lines about an American girl raised on promises comes from Francis Ford Coppola's first movie, Dementia 13.
Oh, interesting.
One of the characters says, especially an American girl, you can tell she's been raised on promises.
So does Coppola get a songwriting credit?
No, he does not. Also, the lines about the girl being on a balcony, hearing cars roll out on the 441, became a Florida urban legend.
Oh, no.
That the song was about a student who had committed suicide by jumping from the Beatty Towers at the University of Florida. And the towers are alongside Route 441. And Tom said, nope.
It's just a song.
He wrote it when he was in California and he was living in an apartment in Encino next to a highway. Plus, the thing about the Beatty Towers is you can't open the windows.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So that wouldn't work.
Now, this song was recorded, believe it or not, on July 4th, 1976.
America.
Or Merca. Anyway, plus it sounds like, and I'm sorry I'm going to have to say this, a bird song.
Okay.
Because of Tom and Mike Campbell's twin guitars mirroring Roger McGuinn's 12-string guitar.
But it's better.
And Roger himself covered it in 1977. And the thing is, when his manager first played American Girl for Roger, Roger asked, when did I write that song?
Wow.
Yeah. And it was the last song performed by Tom and the Heartbreakers live on September 25th, 2017 at the Hollywood Bowl in LA.
That's kind of fitting.
The final concert on the 40th anniversary tour that Jerry Harrison missed.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a fast rocker and it's almost new wave-ish. And I kind of remember like first being aware of Tom. It was on some TV show where they were actually calling him and his band like punk or new wave.
What?
And I'm thinking
that doesn't work.
Oh. And I think the thing was because they broke through in the UK first.
Oh, they kind of got that label slapped on them.
And they're it's the 70s and they're big in England. They must be a punk band.
No,
and they're probably
not.
British too. What, he's from Florida? Oh my.
Steve Ferrone's from Britain, actually.
Yes.
But that didn't come till later. But one point that I want to make quickly is I don't feel like Tom is an American rocker. He's an American rocker where everybody, you think of American rock and you think of Tom Petty. That's just my opinion, though. All right, next track, Hometown Blues. Nice drums in the opening, and the opening actually reminded me of Nutbush City Limits.
I can kind of hear that, yeah. Okay.
And Tom, I'm so sorry, but I can't hear do a little song, do a little dance without thinking of a little seltzer down the pants.
Oh, I was thinking of Artie Smarty Pants.
Oh, no. Tom falls for a girl who's trying to escape her hometown blues by making it big, whether it's dancing on a late-night show or making a lot of money or shacking up with Tom. But she's definitely trying to run from her feelings. Tom doesn't mind. All that he hopes is that, as she's running, she has time to make a pit stop to be with him for a little while. And it's a pretty good attempt at the blues, but I think Breakdown is better.
Yeah, this is also from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And yeah, Tom's watching the girls try to make the best of their hometown blues. I got the feeling it was like they can't escape, but they're doing what they can to forget about being stuck for a while, like with the girl dancing on TV. And I thought, maybe it's a local show or just something, like just trying to get out of the ordinary and then having to go back to the ordinary.
Mhm.
And for me, this song has kind of like almost a country rock feel to it.
Okay. Next track, The Wild One, Forever. Okay, I'm just gonna say this now because the version I listened to was off of Tom Petty in American Treasure with the really gorgeous artwork of his face. And Tom looked better with a beard, and that's all I wanted to say. Anyway, back to the song. This is one of the most romantic songs ever written, and I hope it was a popular first dance choice at weddings, but I think you'd have to be careful with calling the bride a wild thing, because if it doesn't apply to her, she's not gonna take it well.
How about the mild one, Forever?
Tom is warned about the local baddie. She could never love anyone if she tried, but as soon as he sees her, he knows he's in love. And when she holds and kisses him, he feels so good. Now, in this version, she leaves him after those first few hours and he doesn't regret it at all because the memory will make him happy. But I think this still works as a wedding song because you could interpret it as those first few hours were just the start and now we have a whole lifetime to make memories together, so it kind of works.
What? We're not going to have another party tomorrow? We got to like live life? Oh, man. Okay, this is from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And yes, they called her the wild one, and Tom knew she was going to have to be his.
Mm-hmm.
And those few hours that they had will linger in his head forever until the next one. Anyway, a rocking ballad, it's okay. I don't have any complaints against it.
Next track, I Need to Know. All
You
right.
need to know?
Well, I don't, but Tom does. All right, we're flooring it. You could look at this song one of two ways. Tom's woman is leaving him, or one of Tom's bandmates is leaving him. Because the way the lyrics are written, both interpretations could work. Even the falling for his lies, leaving the band, and getting a new agent who promised more money. But considering how the Heartbreakers were together for 40 plus years, there's no possibility of that happening at all in the band's past. And this song rocks like a 50s rock and roll track with the piano player going all Jerry Lee Lewis for a few seconds.
This is from You're Gonna Get It. Tom just needs to know, and that's all. Oh, well, okay, he needs to know if she's gonna leave or stay. Now that's all. Musically, when I listened to this, I listened really hard, and you know what? It sounded to me like Bob Dylan fronting a new wave band.
No,
Just the way that he sings.
Well, you know who Tom sounded like a lot to me? David Bowie, but with an American accent.
I can kind of hear that too.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, it's New Wave Bob. And it's less than 2.5 minutes, and he just rocks it out.
Mm-hmm. Next track, Listen to Her Heart. I really love those opening notes. Tom's got a girl whom he really loves. She's got issues to work through, but he's there for her. And then the bad boy moves into the neighborhood, and then Victor moved into the neighborhood, dangling money and cocaine in front of her like shiny objects. It sounds like a rich boy who thinks money can buy everything. Did he learn nothing from the Beatles? Obviously not, because Tom has to tell him, she's my girl, and she's going to listen to her heart and choose me at the end of the day. He's not being cocky, he's being secure and stating fact. And this song creates a feeling of safety because Tom isn't afraid to stand up to a rich scumbag to protect his woman. Good for you, Tom.
Who's Victor?
Oh, remember that book with all the mice? But there was that one girl who the boys were scared of being friends with, but then they were all friends, and then it ends with, and then Victor moved into the neighborhood. I quote it all the time. Mom will remember it. She can tell you.
Okay, this is also from You're Gonna Get It. Now, brace yourself, Jules, because Tom wrote this as a response to Ike Turner.
Oh my God! Call him out, Tom! Call him out!
Yes, because Ike was making advances towards Tom's wife. His wife at the time anyway. I guess they were at some party or something, and Ike was trying to put on the moves. So now the lines, you think you're going to take her away with your money and your cocaine, make perfect sense.
Oh, good for you, Tom. Call that man out. Call him out.
Now, ABC Records wanted Tom to change cocaine to champagne. Tom refused. Good for him, but it also resulted in limited airplay. But come on, champagne does not equal Ike. No, cocaine and Ike.
That's Ike.
Yes, that's like, bread and butter. They just go together so well.
I hate to say this, cocaine plus Ike equals battery.
Musically, again, it's very Byrds-ish. And Roger McGuinn probably must have wondered if he wrote this song too. And I've always liked this song a lot, but knowing the story behind it about Ike just makes me love it now.
Yes. Next track, Too Much Ain't Enough. My first thought hearing the opening was Bad Reputation by Joan Jett. I feel like this song is based on true events, so without the context, I can't tell what happened. The closest thing I could think is that Tom is fed up with this girl who doesn't know what she wants and is destroying their relationship. I thought the guitar solo was great, but not one of my favorites on the album so far.
This is also from, and the last song, because I love saying it like this, You're Gonna Get It. So Tom's letting what he calls Little Miss Queen of Hearts have it. even though he thinks she's letting him have it, even because she's got him on his knees. And
Mm-hmm.
he has to admit that some little girls can't be pleased, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Title wise, it should sound like a ballad, because I have to admit, every time I see the title, I kind of forget how the song goes. But this rocks. It's very new wave, almost bordering on punk. And like good punk songs, it's less than 3 minutes.
Next track, Refugee. Okay, so there was a music video for this, and I watched all of them for part one just in case one of them turned out to be one of the iconic ones because I didn't want to skip it. Turns out, I guess not, because it's just the band playing and walking around a building.
Yeah, yeah. You
Tom-
think something's going to happen, but it doesn't.
Nope. Tom gets more screamy here with his vocals than usual, and I quite enjoyed it. The way I see it is that Tom's girl is constantly looking over her shoulder, and Tom suspects the reason is because she was mistreated in the past. He tells her, "You don't have to live like a refugee." I get where the girl is coming from. When you've been in an unhealthy relationship and enter into a healthy relationship for the first time, you have to do the work. You have to take it upon yourself to respond to triggers and communicate with your partner clearly about what's going on. Because you might see danger where there is none since your brain is expecting to be mistreated again. So this is a good anthem for people finding someone better and to remind yourself, it's okay, you're in a safe space now.
This is from Damn the Torpedoes. I kind of have like the Cliff Notes version of everything that you just said.
Yeah.
Basically, she's had a tough past, but she also seems to revel in it. But Tom tells her that she doesn't have to live like a refugee anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty straight ahead rocker.
Next track, Here Comes My Girl. I'd really love it if a lady did a cover here called Here Comes My Guy, or you could do Here Comes My Girl if you're a lesbian, or a guy could do Here Comes My Guy, because I think the sentiment of this song is felt by both sexes in a relationship. Life beats you down, but when you have your partner with you, you want to tell life to shove it. And it's nice how the music is written too, because before the girl shows up, the music has more grit. And then once the girl does show up, the music changes to the style of a romantic ballad or almost a pop love song, which I think was a great storytelling choice. And Tom's voice changes too from ranting and spoken word and screaming to melodic singing. Again, great storytelling choice. Tom Petty was a very smart man.
This is from Damn the Torpedoes. Now, Mike Campbell said that Tom wasn't sure how to do the verses until he started half talking them. Is that like what you call recitative?
Recitative? Yeah.
Would you consider what he's doing that, or?
Yeah, I mean, if it's in rhythm, I mean, when it's. There's recitative and then there's Rex Harrison, and I think Tom Petty falls somewhere in the middle.
Rex Petty?
Rex Petty.
Tom Harrison? Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, and basically the song is just, here comes Tom's girl, and everything's all right with the world, and that's kind of it. And there's a not so fun fact for you, Jules.
What?
Tom said he was inspired by
What?
the Byrds for the chorus.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm not mad.
Well, I know how you feel about the Byrds.
I'm just bored by them. They don't do anything for me. Speaking of don't doing anything for me, next track, Don't Do Me Like That. Now, when I first heard the title, I thought, is this the one I think it is? And yep, it is. I've heard the chorus all my life, but I never knew it was Tom. He tells the cautionary tale of a woman who tries to walk all over him, and he says, "Don't do me like that. What if I love you, baby?" And you could tell he loves her, but he also has his self-respect and his dignity. You get the sense he'll walk out too if he keeps, if she keeps pulling the shit too. It's a no-nonsense love song, and you're proud of Tom for advocating for himself.
This is from Damn the Torpedoes. One of Tom's friends tells him how the woman he's seeing told him she loved him and then let him go. And he warns Tom, this could happen to you. So Tom tries to head his baby off at the pass by begging. See the title of the song. Anyway, great rocket, excellent drumming, and I think overall just one of the great rock songs because I never ever get tired of hearing it. There's just so many good parts, so much good stuff going on in that song. Now, at one point, Tom considered giving this song to the Jay Giles Band because he thought it had their sound. And then I went back and listened to the song and I thought, it does. They totally could have pulled that off. But during the recording of Damn the Torpedoes, he was convinced that it would be a hit. So, you got to keep the hits for yourself. And it was, as it went to number 10 on Billboard's Hot 100. This is the song that introduced me to Tom Petty. And I bet it was Tom's first song for a lot of other people too, because he was kind of like under the radar with those first two albums. Like maybe
Coasting.
you heard them on like
WBRU?
maybe college radio, but then Damn the Torpedoes came out and it just blew up.
Next.
No pun intended.
Next track, Even the Losers. I briefly thought there was something wrong with the audio on my computer, but my god, what an opening to hook you in. The drums are turned up to 11 with all different kinds of percussive instruments, then they cut out and we hear a woman say something in the background, which I'm sure you know what it is.
I do.
This song doesn't feel like a high school summer romance, it feels like a college summer romance because it seems more mature. Sure, there's the innocence of skipping rocks and looking at the stars, but on the other hand, these are two individuals smoking cigarettes. Sure, you can have those as a teenager, the latter if you sneak them, but they feel more mature than teenagers. Like they're aware this moment may not last, but they're going to enjoy it. A very mature song that hits you with nostalgia for an experience that you as the listener may or may not have had. Okay, Dad, what's the woman saying?
Okay, hang on. From Damn the Torpedoes. Full speed ahead is the whole line. I think that was John Paul Jones. Not the bass player from Zeppelin, but the...
Different one.
Yeah. Anyway, per Petty, excuse me, the biography by Warren Zanes, Tom was inspired by a night he had spent with a girl named Cindy when he was young. She had been a junior high school crush of his. The next morning, Cindy told Tom their relationship was limited to the previous night, aka the one-night stand.
Oh.
So, in a way, Tom thought he was the loser who got lucky.
Wow.
Yep. Again, another solid rocker. And the woman's voice at the beginning saying, "It's the normal noises in here." That's Mike Campbell's wife, Marcy. Mike was recording a demo and complaining about the noise of the washing machine was making. So, also Mike was having trouble coming up with a guitar solo, and Tom came to the rescue with the brilliant question, well, what would Chuck Berry do?
Nice.
And then solo. And I went back and listened to that and realized, yep, that's definitely Chuck all over and great solution to a problem.
Next track, The Waiting. This music video was brought to you by Triangles and Lines. I feel like The Waiting could be twofold here. The first interpretation could be a long-distance relationship. The second could be Victorian romance waiting for the wedding night. But then I thought of a third one, and probably the correct one, which is when, after waiting and waiting and waiting, the right person finally comes into your life. And now that they're here, you're very grateful that they came. They came all the same. Very sincere love song. Maybe a potential slow dance song for a wedding? Could work, I think.
What's with the triangles and lines?
Oh, in the music video, there was just triangles and lines for the background.
Oh,
and
okay.
Tom was like ripping some of the lines apart.
Yes,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. Yep.
Sesame Street was brought to you by the shapes, triangles, and lines.
Okay, this is from Hard Promises. And Tom said for this song he was inspired by a quote from Janis Joplin, who said, "I love being on stage and everything else is just waiting." But your buddy, Roger McGuinn, swore that he was the one who said it to Tom. And Tom said, "I ain't so sure about that." Anyway, this song comes up always when someone is waiting for something, like Homer waiting for his gun on the Simpsons episode, The Cartridge Family.
Oh, if I had my gun, I'd shoot you, but you don't.
But you don't. And I think the funniest thing is like he's outside the store waiting for it to open and open. Come on, come on, come on. It opens, and the first thing he does is run
Go
to the
to the
men's
bathroom.
room.
Yep. Next track, A Woman in Love. Parentheses. It's not me. Close parentheses. From the first lyric of "She laughed in my face," I already feel bad for Tom. What a humiliating moment, poor guy. And if that weren't enough, she's in love with someone else. Poor Tom. He says, "All right, what do you want?" Trying to be cool and nonchalant, but the dude is just sad. So of course this triggers an existential crisis. And the worst part, the man who likes her is a scumbag. It's like a more grown-up version of the Beatles' That Boy, but if the woman in question was just horrible and not being taken advantage of. And the music video really works, being shot in black and white with harsh lighting. That last shot of Tom's face could be a painting. I bet so many drunk men blasted this song off of a dive bar's jukebox. I just want to give Tom a hug. If the goal is to make you down in the dumps, mission accomplished.
This is also from Hard Promises. And yeah, she was a woman in love with Tom, but broke it off and found someone else. But Tom predicts the new guy will break her heart, and then she'll know what she put Tom through, and boy, will she be sorry.
Yep.
Maybe not.
Next track. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Stop Dragging My Heart Around with Stevie Nicks. Here we go. The collab of Petty and Nicks. As soon as I heard the opening guitar, I was hooked and thinking in my head, please don't suck, please don't suck, please don't suck. And the blend of Tom's style of rock and roll with Stevie's background vocals really works. This is a duet with Tom as the repenting lover and Stevie as the cold dumpy. Stevie sees through it all, but Tom sincerely believes he's changed and can't handle her coldness. And both of them have the same message to each other. Stop dragging my heart around with how you're treating me. It's like they both still love each other, but they open up their mouths and it all goes wrong. It's love, it's hate, it's toxic, and it's gonna make millions. Awesome song.
This is from the Stevie Nicks album, Belladonna.
Belladonna.
Yep. And this was the only song on Stevie's first solo album that she didn't write. Tom and Mike Campbell did.
Which is so cool.
And it went to number 3 on Billboard's Hot 100 in 1981, and it was the biggest hit for both Stevie and for Tom.
Nice. Did she say why she wanted to work with him? Did you know?
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
The Heartbreakers recorded it, and their producer, Jimmy Iovine, who was also working with Stevie, asked Tom if Stevie could try it. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, this wasn't the first time that they had
worked together, right?
Worked together.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was another song, and I kept singing it, and I didn't write it down, and it's on one of Tom's albums, and I'm sure I'll be taken to task for not doing that by you listeners, but I'm human, last time I checked. Anyway, this is a great duet, and yeah, the music is dark, and it really gets the point across of Stevie and Tom's lousy relationship.
Yep.
And Mike Campbell's stark guitar work really makes this song.
Yep. And as they said, it might be dark, but it's going to make so much money. Next track.
It's going to make dark money.
Uh-oh, on the dark web. Next track, You Got Lucky. And this is where the iconic music videos begin, but we'll cover those more in depth in part 2. However, this is the first one that Dad said that I should watch, and I loved it. We open up somewhere out west, and at first you think it's a Western until a sci-fi shuttle shows up. Tom arrives on the scene in Western clothes all covered in grime, and then the rest of the bandmates show up in similar attire driving a go-kart, Vespa, golf cart hybrid. Then they find an abandoned ruin straight out of Dune or 2001 Space Odyssey and a boombox. Inside the ruin are some instruments, a TV set up like you'd see in a TV store window, and an old arcade game that Tom shoots because he can, like, I finally beat the game. And that's kind of it, but it's fun. As for the song, it's almost like a dare. You keep saying you can do better? All right, then leave. And that's the gist, but honestly, check out this song just for the music video. It's pretty cool.
This is from Long After Dark, and let me tell you something. You got lucky when Tom found you, and don't you forget it. Oh, you think you can do better? Huh? Then go.
Yeah, then go. Go.
Because remember, good love is hard to find.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, video-wise, yeah, this is the first of Tom's videos that tells a story. Because everything up to this point had been just the band playing and lip-syncing. And the thing is, Tom and the Heartbreakers, they came up with the idea themselves.
Which I think is so cool.
Which I think it probably might have been influenced by the Mad Max movies. Maybe the first one anyway. I'm not sure what the timeline is.
Yeah.
But yeah, this takes place in some post-apocalyptic world. And I think the video fits with the song because of Ben Montench's kind of close encounterish sounding keyboards that open the song. You think, yep, it sounds future. That car that he and Mike get out of, that was from the TV version of the sci-fi movie Logan's Run, which the idea of Logan's Run was once you would turn 30 years old, you were killed.
Oh my God.
So Logan turned 30 and he was on the run. And apparently in the TV show, he kept running until the network stopped him and said, "No one's watching this. We're killing you."
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
I think that could do well today. As a show.
Maybe. Someone should probably not remake it.
Next track, Straight Into Darkness. I wonder how many songs explore this topic. Once upon a time, Tom was in love with a girl, and then suddenly the love just stopped because of something terrible that happened. That's a real cause for ending a relationship. Something traumatic happens to the both of you, and for your own mental health and well-being, the two people call it quits. But Tom still thinks of her fondly and wants her back. Or maybe he just wants things back the way they used to be. And I wish outside trauma affecting relationships was a topic explored more in songs, because I think that might help a lot of people heal or maybe make people feel less alone. Yeah.
This is from Long After Dark, and there was a moment he loved her, and then one day the feeling died. And guess where they went? One guess.
Where?
Straight Into Darkness.
Straight Into Darkness, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty straight ahead rocker. Good song.
Final track, for this part anyway. For disc 1, too. Change of Heart. Tom is realizing that the girl he wasted all the time and effort on isn't worth it, and it sucks for him. I guess part of him wishes she was worth it, but mostly he's just frustrated that he wasted all that time. And the change of heart is him realizing this shit ain't worth it. There was also live footage of this that was actually released 3 weeks ago on Tom Petty's Vivo YouTube channel, so go check that out.
This is also from Long After Dark. And this song is the first step on the road to Jeff Lynne.
Here we go.
How may you ask? Tom wanted to use the same guitar riff on the Moves Do Ya, which was the band Jeff was in before ELO, and he would also remake Do You, Do Ya, excuse me.
Do you want my love?
Yeah, when he came up with the Electric Light Orchestra. And I went back and listened, and it's there. It's there. And it rocks hard. I mean, and lyrically, also Tom's fought for her too hard. But then he realizes she never really needed him, just only wanted him around to kill time, I guess.
Yeah, which
Or like,
sucks.
I've got needs that you can temporarily satisfy, so do your job. So now for Tom, there's been, well, see the song title.
Overall, even when Tom Petty's songs didn't hit, I still casually enjoyed them in the moments where I wasn't as actively engaged. Such a nice palate cleanser after being bored out of my skull with the birds. But Tom just writes satisfying rock and roll that makes you want to crack open a cold one and chill, even if you don't drink. I've never been more excited to do a part 2 in my life because I want to continue riding this high and watch more of those music videos because they're so good.
Oh, we're going to delve into some of them in a lot of detail.
Kim Basinger is a dead body. Yay!
Yay! Anyway, Running Down a Dream has some interesting comic strip history behind it, which
cool.
Which I was surprised. I was doing research and it never came up.
But anyway, we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there when we get there. But for now, this summarizes Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' first 7 years, give or take a few months. And you, Juliet, and possibly the listeners may have noticed that I haven't delved too deeply at all into the lyrics. For me, for the most part, the song titles sum up the content.
Yeah, they do pretty well.
And I'm going to say this, and I don't mean this disparagingly, that Tom was not the deepest songwriter in the world.
And yet, in the Simpsons Rock and Roll episode, he's the one teaching lyric writing and says it's the hardest part.
So is the waiting. Anyway, music critic Robert Christgau summed it up, I think, perfectly, boiling down Tom's songs to, quote, can't live with them, can't live without them. Unquote.
That feels backhanded. I don't like that.
Well, no, I think it's like the Cliff Notes version. I mean, you go back and listen to these songs and you kind of realize, that kind of...
But they're still great.
Yeah,
they're still great.
Well, see, the thing is, for me, it doesn't bother me because Tom does the one important thing that a rock and roll artist should do.
Make them rock?
He makes them rock, and for me, that's what matters. And I think the thing is, it's like, I think he had either a lot of belief or faith in, I can't believe I'm going to say this, in the power of rock and roll. And it definitely shows in the songs. And you kind of brought this up. I mean, not in so much these words, but you said you could like kind of hang out and, what was it, have a beer or have a drink or something?
Yeah, just listen to them.
Because another thing is, like, he was always dependable. And, like, when he put out his albums, you were always going to get 2 or 3 great songs per album, which to me makes him more of a singles artist as opposed to an albums artist. Hence me owning this anthology. For me, it's just the perfect go-to. I mean, the 6-disc playback, I looked at the track listing and I thought, okay, I think I would have stopped at maybe disc 2, maybe 3 at the most. It's just all the MCA stuff. You're not getting any of the Warner Brothers stuff, which makes sense, but I thought 6 discs is too much. The first greatest hits was 1 disc, and that just was not enough. And there have actually been some other best ofs, like you had the one, the American Treasure. Great album cover, but I looked at the listing, I thought, nah, I'm still sticking with the anthology. That's good. I mean, it just cannot really be topped.
And we'll get into more of that in part 2. All right, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. The more you interact with the YouTube homepage, the more you interact with the video, the greater chance we will be appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you follow me on my social media, which I did delete my Twitter, but I still post the episodes there on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Tumblr and Facebook. And if you're friends with my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and he'll send an email right to your inbox. Thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. We'll be back next time with another album to pick and gripe about. Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Listeners, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks for part 2. But as someone once sang, the waiting is the hardest part. Now, who was that?
Let's think.